This week on the podcast, we're doing a quiz on how well we know the Magic Kingdom. But first, we're talking about how the podcast comes together and what our plans are for December. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Pixie Dust Fan Podcast. Hi, I'm Francine.
And I'm Carrie.
We're two best friends who can't stop talking, usually about Disney stuff.
Sometimes we have fascinating guests, and sometimes it's just us. But it's always positive and fun.
We're happy to have you join our chat. Thanks for listening, and let's get started. Hi, Carrie.
Hi, Fran.
How are you?
I'm all right.
Good. We had to cut our chitter chatter short. We were talking before we started recording, and then we were like, why are we not just recording this?
Because that's what we do.
That is what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was actually saying to you that there's this new software out to record the podcast, different than Zoom. It's supposed to make the editing easier, but the problem is there's no video. And while
That'd be weird,
right? Like, it's audio for everybody listening, but like without the video, I don't know how I
don't know. I think we need the video.
I think we need the video, like, so that we're not talking over each other. And, well, sometimes it's just our faces, and then we have to remind ourselves to tell about the audio. Anyway.
And if we can't see each other, how would we know when Carrie's internet's not working or if there's a malfunction with my technology? You'll be talking and you'd have no idea. You wouldn't have me, like, making faces, like doing the cut sign.
Well, and I wouldn't know if the loud bangs or Carrie falling off the chair or a cat in the room.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to see that I look like Max Headroom all of a sudden on my video display because I'm buffering.
Oh my goodness!
So yeah, we're done.
Probably, that's not going to work. We're going to have to just stick to this. And
I have something to read this week in the podcast because I got a message directly. It wasn't a review, but I got a message from somebody that I think we should read on the podcast.
If we didn't have video, I wouldn't be able to tell you that your shoulder is hitting your microphone.
Oops. Can you wait? Can you hear it like that?
I can see you leaning in, and I'm like, hang on a second.
I don't think I was touching it.
Oh my gosh. Oh, okay,
sorry. You can edit it out.
Maybe.
He's just trying to steal my thunder.
Oh my gosh.
I was really hitting Carrie. It. You were like, oh, Carrie's got something to read this week.
She does.
I'm the reader of the messages, but now Carrie's got something to read.
But Carrie got a direct message about the podcast.
Yeah, and I get them from time to time.
It's kind of nice.
But not as often as you do.
Well, no, I don't normally get them. They're not messages. It's our reviews. I just happen to look them up online.
Oh.
They're on, yeah.
Do you get a notification when we get one? Or you got to look them up?
I got to look them up, but I subscribe to like this weekly thing that tells us what number we are in what countries and blah, blah, blah. And on there, it'll tell me if we got a new review.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So when that comes, that reminds me. So to go look. Anyway, Sorry. Okay, so you got a message.
This is from someone we know, a friend of ours, that I guess she was needing a little bit of pixie dust. And I think sometimes we forget, like, we're always like, oh boy, it's amazing how these people that we don't know listen to us. But we do have quite a few of our friends and colleagues and that listen to us. So it's one of our friends, and she needed some pixie dust, and she messaged me to thank me and you for lifting her spirits. And she said not only, in this moment, but often she listens to us to raise her spirits. So she said, as soon as I turn on the Pixie Dust podcast, your banter back and forth just makes me giggle. I listen to them over and over again, and they just brighten my mood. So thank you for sharing your love of Disney and friendship with all of us.
Oh, that's so nice.
Did you like that one?
That's a good one. That's a nice one. So not just our love of Disney, but our friendship. People are invested in our friendship.
In our friendship.
They probably wonder how we're friends in some scenarios.
Yeah, I think so. But
but it works.
It works. The other day
that was very nice. Thank you.
That was very, very nice. Thank you. And I thanked her from both of us for that. And I was happy we could help lift her spirits in our goofy, kooky way.
Yes.
So, but the other day I met a colleague for lunch, and as like she's waiting for me, we went somewhere to meet for lunch, and I was running a little bit late, and I met her, and she's staying there waiting. She's got her earbuds in, and she's got her phone, and she's listening to the podcast. And she's like, "Look what I'm listening to," and I'm like, "Why are you listening to that?" Oh dear,
it's weird when people that listen sometimes, especially from like different parts of your life, like your work, your unmagical job. This is someone you met, and it freaks me out sometimes. Like at my unmagical job, when someone will say something and they'll say, "Oh, like when you blah blah blah," and I'm like, "How did you know about that?" Like I don't talk about that at work, and then they're like, "No, you talked about it on the podcast." It's so bizarre to me because those two worlds don't necessarily come together.
Well, and I even find it's kind of weird, like even in our Disney friend group, like because I know some of our Disney friends do listen regularly, like they don't miss an episode. So when I'm talking to them about something, and then I think I think they probably already know the story because I probably told them. Or if I'm telling them about the trip, like all of my Disney friends, if they ask me how the trip is, if I don't really say too much, it's because I'm assuming that they've probably heard all about it and they don't want to hear it again. They're just being polite. How was your trip? You just kind of ask that to people.
Yeah, my nephew's the same. Like, I'll be telling him something about a trip or something, and he's like, "Yeah." See, he doesn't need to be polite. He's like, "Yeah, I know." And I'm like, "How do you know?" And he's like, "You talked about it on the podcast, and I listened." I'm like, "Oh, okay, all right. So I won't talk about it again." Yeah, it's kind of fun.
For sure.
It's funny, but definitely something that we have to keep in mind.
And another thing I think too, like with my aunt listens, right? She listens every.
Oh my gosh, your aunt is so fabulous. Week. She sent me the funniest thing the other day. But go on, I'll tell you.
But I think like my aunt really she doesn't really know you.
No,
right? She doesn't, but she knows you because of the podcast, right? Like she knows what you like and she knows so much about you because of the podcast. So like she'll talk about you or say stuff about you or even like on your trip, right? Like, when you're on your cruise or whatever, like, she'll say stuff, but it's all like she's learned all this stuff about you. Like she really does know you.
Yes.
More than she ever should know. Like the details about you and what you like and your personality and everything because of the podcast. Otherwise, she'd be just like this Francine that's Carrie's best buddy. Like,
right.
She really, so, when we can talk and she just like kind of pipes in like, she's known you as long as I've known you. And then you think, oh yeah, it's because of the podcast. It's because of the podcast.
And I've never met her in person. I've never met her in person, although,
but like, I know no joke, she could send me something that you'd like. She'd be like, "Here, you should get this for Francine for her birthday," or whatever, because she knows you enough.
She sent me like this thing, somebody's kitchen, and they had this whole rack, and it was like almost custom built in to hold all your mugs, and you could get like 50 mugs in this thing. It was floor to ceiling, and she sent it to me. She's like, "Oh, this is what you need for your kitchen."
Exactly.
We forget that. Because you and I are pretty much open books, there's no secrets here. I think we forget how much people do get to know who we are because just through the conversations we share so much.
I think sometimes people forget, we forget and people remember too, right? Like I'll have some people like message me about something that was like an episode, like God knows how long ago. And I don't remember anything that I said or did, but
I know. But
someone reminds me, I'm like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's funny. Like, a joke, something we were joking about that there's been so many jokes since I can't remember.
I know. And, it's funny because I thought about doing an episode where I pulled together, our best like crack ups or something, but because we've had some real doozies. But honestly, Carrie, I don't even know what episodes they're on. Like, I know that we have had episodes where we were laughing so hard that we were crying, like but I couldn't tell you what episodes. And I couldn't tell you why. And sometimes it's like the dumbest stuff that makes us
sometimes.
Sometimes. Always, yes. And so first we should tell people, okay, so this whole episode, we were going to do a quiz. We're actually doing a quiz, and I finally relented.
I was hoping that if we talked long enough, we wouldn't have time for the
You wouldn't let me do the quiz? I wanted to try one from All Ears to give it a chance. I did not look ahead at the questions, so I don't know if they're right or wrong, because I figured we could experience it together. So I want to give them a chance. But before we even get to that, we do have to tell people that you and I, what our plans are for December. Because I think we're in agreement.
Mm-hmm. We made an executive decision.
We did.
A podcast executive team. Me and you. And Prince Charming, because he's sick and tired of being locked up in this room.
Oh, I know, the poor guy. Well, at least he's sleeping today. He finished washing his face, but now he's sleeping. I can see him. He's like, he looks so comfortable. Yeah. So I was listening. There's where we host our podcast. They actually have a podcast about how to podcast, blah, blah, blah. Their tagline is, we're here to keep you podcasting. But one of the things they talk about is throughout the month of December, because people are so busy on holidays, vacations, holiday prep, all of that stuff, lots of people don't listen to their regular podcasts during the month of December. So it's the perfect time for people to take a break. Podcasters to take a break. So you and I talked about it, and we're going to take a break.
We're going to take a break.
We kind of have to, because quite honestly, Carrie, I think there's 2 weeks in December that one or both of us are traveling. Mm-hmm. And then there's the holidays, and it's the
holidays.
It's the holidays.
That's all you have to say.
It's the holidays. So our plan is we're going to take the month of December off. Yep. But we're planning on our first episode back in January. I have to figure out the date and everything.
The 4th. The first Wednesday, January 4th.
Oh, okay. There you go. That will be sort of a big podcast where we look back and look forward at the future of the podcast, and kind of do our recap, because we did a recap last year, in December. So we're going to do it on January 4th. Yeah. Yeah.
So we still have November. We're going to release a podcast.
We still have November.
Which when we decided we would take the break, and then I was like, well, but there's still 6 more podcasts to go, because November has 5 Wednesdays.
I know. And I don't know if anybody, we struggle sometimes with what to because quite frankly, we could do an episode every week of just recording our conversations. Carrie and I can talk for 5-6 hours a week. No problem. 80% of it's Disney. No problem. But it's a whole load of stuff that we don't know if anybody else would even be interested in. Like, did you see this? Did you hear? I had a friend who did this, blah, blah, blah. We do that. What our listeners want to hear is where we struggle, because we're like, we want to make sure that we're giving value, she says, as they realize they've been talking for 15 minutes about nothing. But we want to give value to our listeners. But what value is it? Like, we get so many comments about it's just lighthearted and fun. So quizzes make sense. Laughs and jokes about stuff we've seen online, talking about shopping and frivolous stuff. But if there are topics where you think, I really wish you guys would talk about seriously this, this park, these dining, these experiences, should you do this or this, please send us a note. Please let us know, because we don't know if we're missing the mark or not. Mm-hmm. Fair?
Yeah. And we like to have guests on, too. So we like to have a mixture of guests, we like the chitter chatter, and it's fun, and it's kind of easy for us because we just act ourselves and talk about whatever we want to talk about. But we like having guests because we want to bring on guests that are interesting to us, right? Like we want to, like,
selfishly,
when we bring guests on, we're like, oh, we really want to talk to this person because we're interested in whatever they have to say. So, we want to have like the right mix of guests and then the right mix of silliness, and And yeah, I think now that we're back and we're traveling, we could probably do more of the reviews and the
Yes.
tips and whatever. But I think we also feel like we've done most of it. So like, when's the right time to kind of redo them if there's enough, things to update or if
Changes.
something's changed or whatever. Like, yeah. So, but we'd love any ideas or feedback on guests you think would be nice or if anybody wants to. Quiz us on some fun game because you know how well we organize those ourselves. Our most successful game episodes have been when we've had somebody help us organize, volunteer to.
We have to do the hide and
referee.
seek again.
I know
that hide and seek was priceless. Yeah, we have to do that again. Referee. That's the problem. That's why when I pick these quizzes, I don't go ahead and look at the questions because I want us to be like cold together, experiencing it at the same time.
Yep.
Right?
So we're going to get on to the quiz then?
Yeah. If that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing. I did say before when we did the quiz that I struggle because sometimes I do quizzes from other sites, non-Disney official sites, and then I don't believe they're all the answers are right. So let's see if I believe the answers in the All Ears quiz. Although these could be like simple stuff. There was another quiz that I found this morning, and yeah, anyway.
Not good.
No, because they said it was like the hardest quiz for a Disney fan or whatever. Carrie, what year did Disneyland open? Come on. I was like, yeah, forget that one. So, because that one, when I saw it and it said it was the hardest one for Disney fans, I thought, oh, well, I better check these out because like, is it going to be super hard where we're going to look like idiots, right? Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't. Okay. So this one they have a whole bunch of quizzes. They have quizzes about every park. So I figured we'd start with the easiest, which is, how much do you know about the Magic Kingdom?
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah, so am I the one that has to answer all of these?
Well, I'm going to read them. This will be my first time seeing the questions too. I haven't actually clicked the start quiz button, so I don't even know. This could be completely like, where is the Magic Kingdom located? Like, it could totally be something stupid, and then we're going to have a 20-minute podcast. Okay, you ready?
Yep. Question 1.
Oh, this is an old quiz.
Oh dear.
Oh Lord. This is an older quiz. See, the parks change so much. Which princess does not make an appearance at Mickey's Royal Friendship Fair? Oh. Is Mickey's Royal Friendship Fair even playing anymore? See, these are tips we could give people.
Don't plan your trip based on an old quiz.
Okay, so the answers are Tiana, Cinderella, Elsa, or Rapunzel.
Like, I would never know. Let me see, Mickey.
They have a hint. Oh.
Friendship.
They have a hint in All Ears.
Well, you know what? We probably would know because we probably, like, the music for this song, I bet you that you and I could sing it word for word. So probably. So the hint is she has a blue dress. So I think it's got to be Cinderella. Yeah.
Correct.
And it says Mickey's Magical Friendship Fair, which is back. It was a thing that was because it was there before COVID, and then it came back. So it says, look for Tiana and friends from The Princess and the Frog, Rapunzel and Flynn from Tangled. Mickey even recruits Olaf, Anna, Elsa, and from Frozen to join in.
There you go.
There you go. Maybe it's not an old quiz.
Maybe.
Yeah,
so
we're not sitting crisscross applesauce in front of the castle waiting for this. FYI.
It's usually one of those things. We're walking up Main Street, we hear the music, we're like, oh, and we stop, we watch from afar.
We sing every single word because we listen to it on our streaming devices or whatever.
And then we walk on. Then we jog on. All right.
That wasn't too bad.
Yeah, but this one is old. It's outdated now. Which of these attractions does not have a fast pass?
Oh, dear.
Magic Carpets of Aladdin, My Favorite Astro Orbiter, The Mad Tea Party, or the Tomorrowland Speedway?
Honest to goodness, I would have had no idea. Astro Orbiter is what
I think it's Astro Orbiter. Yep, correct. Who on earth would want to use a fast pass for Astro Orbiter? Like, why would you even want to be on it?
I was trying to think back of the old fast pass days. Like, what were the ones we would pick?
Yeah.
So far, we're doing well.
We're doing really well. Now we're on question 3,
Maybe it's
Carrie.
a quiz, like how much do we remember from Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom?
Maybe. But you know what? So far so good. We're doing okay. The third question is, what is the name of the English isn't right. It says, what is the name of sculpture of Roy Disney and Minnie? What is the name of the sculpture of Roy Disney and Minnie Mouse? Creating the Magic, Magic Happens Here, Partners, or Sharing the Magic? I know it's not Partners because that's what Walt and Mickey are called, right?
Mm-hmm. What were the other ones? Sharing the Magic?
Creating the Magic, Magic Happens Here, or Sharing the Magic?
I got no idea. My guess would be sharing.
I think it's sharing. Because they look like mid-conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And that statue they move this. They move it back and forth, right? So sometimes it's right where the tree is in the middle of Main Street, right at the front, or sometimes it's over by the bathrooms.
You know what's funny? Like, I have a funny memory about that. Like, our friend Carolyn, I would always argue with that because I always went to Walt Disney World in October. Like, once I went in October, that's the time I went.
Yes.
And I would say that statue was at the Main Street washrooms. And she'd be like, absolutely not. Like, it's right in front of, it's in the first hub. It's right there when, like, in front of, like, the castle's behind you. And then I was like, nope, I've never in my life seen it there that I remember. It's always by the bathrooms. And then we figured out it's because when it's Halloween, they have to move it. So they move it for Halloween. And maybe at Christmas time too,
yes.
Right? They move it there, and so I have no real. And really, before I started to go in October, I always would go in December and January when the Christmas decorations were still up. So I never, ever, ever had seen it in that spot. And we used to have like little debates. And then finally it was like, oh. Like, she'd show me pictures. She's like, see, this is where it is. And I'm like, yeah, I've never seen it there. Like, I'm not saying I don't believe you. Like, there's proof. But I'm like, I've never seen it there. But it's because I only saw it in the holidays. So
yeah, it's movable.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fantastic little sculpture, and you
can sit there.
There's a seat on the bench next to Minnie, and they look like they're mid conversation. It's sharing
the magic.
It's quite a lovely sharing the magic is correct, Carrie. Ding ding ding. See, this is this. Remember the thing Dustin was telling you about the Rodecaster thing? It's like a very expensive piece of machinery, but if we had it, I could then give bells and whistles to you.
Maybe you should ask for it for Christmas. Like, is it how much?
Oh,
like, if everybody chipped in.
It's like $1,000, Carrie, this thing.
Maybe for 2 Christmases.
I get half this year, half next.
For your Christmas and your birthday. And
Maybe.
if it's really a lot, then your next Christmas too.
Yeah.
It'll get them through to the end of 2023.
It would be nice to have sound effects. We could sound really professional.
Okay. I don't think that's going to fix things. Okay. Question number 4?
Question number 4, Carrie. It's so flippin' easy. I don't even need to give you the options. Where can you find the infamous corn dog nuggets?
Oh, like Casey's.
Casey's Corner. So, question to you. Are corn dog nuggets? Nuggets?
Nuggies?
Corn dog nuggies. Are they a must-do for you?
Never.
No.
I ate a corn dog at Disneyland. That's the only time I ever eat a corn dog.
I don't think we had a corn dog last trip, did we?
I had a corn dog.
You had a corn dog. When did you have a corn dog and I didn't have a corn
when
dog?
When we were waiting for the fireworks.
Oh,
and I left you.
$20 bottle of water. That's right.
The $20 bottle of water. I left you in the primo spots and everyone was trying to steal my spot.
Right.
I went to get a corn dog.
That's right.
So,
you had a corn dog. It was dark, so I didn't get to watch you eat the corn dog.
Those corn dog nuggies are everybody loves them. Carolyn loved them.
Yeah.
Like, it was one of her favorite things. Lots of people, it's their favorite. Snack,
lots of people love them. I have got them occasionally. I just don't like eating outside. Because there's birds and stuff, right? Like, I'm not afraid of birds. My sister's deathly afraid of birds. I'm not afraid of birds, but I'm afraid of birds when they're trying to come and eat my lunch.
Right.
Like, if you have a corn dog nugget in your hand and one of those big, you know those big build things, the ones with the big, it's like a foot long.
Yeah.
I don't want one of them coming at me.
But if you were under the umbrellas outside there,
then it's just the ducks.
Then you're fine. Like, nothing's going to swoop in there and get you.
Nothing's going to swoop, but they're going to come and walk up next to you.
Yeah, I guess. For me, like, even though, like, Casey's, to me, when they stopped having the cheese I could pump into the dispenser for my French fries, like, I kind of wrote Casey's off. That was the place where, like, at the end of the day, you'd get, like, an order of fries and some hot cheese, to warm you up on those cool October or January nights. You just needed a little something warm. So yeah, I don't really go there
since the cheese.
And I know
debacle.
Some people go there, like, that's a must do. Like, it's a stop at Casey's is 100%, whether it's the corn dog nuggets or the hot dogs or whatever. Like, it's a must do. Like, you have to do it every trip. But
yeah. I'm
scarred from the hot cheese. Like,
and we did do an episode where we talked about how crazy people are over stuff like that, like the hot cheese and the toppings bar at the other one, and yeah.
Anyways.
I don't even think I ever had the hot cheese there.
It was so good, and their fries were like little.
It wasn't real cheese.
Long. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Their fries are like little shoestring fries.
Their fries are they're a little bit like McDonald's, like
delicious.
in that little tiny shoestring whatever. I did have it. I did have the corn dog nuggets and fries this year when I was there, and they were okay. The
fries still the same?
The fries are still the same. It was just I can't eat like a whole order of these corn dog nuggets, and I like to eat.
You need to share.
I'm not a skinny person by any means, but it was too much.
You need to share.
It's a good shareable. Okay.
I ate that whole corn dog by myself, though. I wonder how many corn dog nuggets.
I don't even know if you offered me a bite. Did you?
Well, don't really. It's my corn dog. I said, "Did you want a corn dog?" You said no.
Right. You're fair enough.
But maybe
I just said I wanted a bottle of water.
And we should maybe get a thing of corn dog nuggets, and we could see how much it is compared to a corn dog. Because, like,
right?
Is it the equivalent of eating a corn dog, or is it like 2 corn dogs?
Next trip, let's do that. We've got a list of to-dos on our next trip. We do, which is not far off.
No. If we make it there.
You and your
bought any airfare yet.
You and your jinxies. I know. This week we're going to try to buy airfare. This week. Okay.
Number 5?
Number 5. This is an interesting one for people to know. Where is first aid? Do you know in Magic Kingdom?
Yeah. It's around the Crystal Palace.
Nice.
In Disneyland, it's the other around the other bend. You go. You hang.
People can't see you doing the point, right? So Carrie's pointing her fingers one way, and then
that's what I had to think. At Walt Disney World, when you get to the end of the end of Main Street,
it's basically next to Casey's.
Yeah,
it's between Casey's and the Crystal Palace.
Yeah,
and there are great bathrooms down there too. FYI. Like, if you don't know, there's a whole set of bathrooms down there that are they're not as well known. So they're nice ones down there.
Have we done a podcast on the best bathrooms?
We have not. We should do that.
Because that's a good one.
Okay, so Carrie, do you want to tell the people what we were talking about?
No.
I'll tell them. Hang on. So I'm writing it down. So what happens is, this is a sidebar note. Carrie and I talk all the time. We're usually messaging each other throughout the day, multiple times a day. And we get these ideas for things like podcasts. We should talk about this, blah, blah, blah. And we never write them down.
We never write not one one snippet of it down.
Never. So then what happens is it comes time to record the podcast and we're like, oh, didn't I say that I wanted to talk about something and now I can't
remember.
Yeah. So I have a note now that I'm taking notes. Carrie's going to send me her things as soon as they come to her head and I'm going to write them down. So I just wrote it down. Next week's episode should be the best bathrooms.
Next week? I don't know about that. I might need some time to prepare.
Gosh. How do you have to think about it? When you're in the parks, you know which ones you go to in each of the parks, where your favorites are. Oh my gosh. Dear. Okay, so they're so in the Magic Kingdom, there's nice ones next to the first aid station. And have you been in there? I've only ever just looked in. I've never had first aid,
no.
knock wood. I've never had first aid in the parks, but...
No, but I think the one thing me as well, I've never really been in the first aid at Walt Disney World. I have at Disneyland, and the thing that I realized was, like, I always thought of, like, first aid as, like, you know, something really bad's happened, like you've twisted your ankle or, you know, you need a nurse to help you with something. But when I was in the one at Disneyland getting, like, an ice pack, like, people go in there for everything. Like, they go in there because they need a Band-Aid because they got a blister on their foot.
Yeah,
they need
Tylenol or Advil.
I had no idea. Like, I thought it's quite a busy place because people go in if they need anything like that. I went in because a friend had got stung by a bee, so we went in to, like, just, like, chill out and, like, see if anything was going to happen, you know, like, if it was going to get worse or a reaction or whatever. So yeah, I really thought of it as something, like, big, but then when we were, like, I've been in there a couple times for that, and then, like, to pick up an ice pack for somebody, and I was like, wow, like, there's a lot, like, this place is busy, and everybody seems to know that, you know, why pack Band-Aids? Because you can just get one if you need one. Need some moleskin? They got it. Whatever you need. Like, and I never had been in there. So it's interesting. They log everything, right? Like, if you go in for a Band-Aid, you got to write down that you know, I'm so-and-so and I came in here on this date and I took and they gave me a Band-Aid because they log everything. But, yeah.
Can you imagine? That must be hard for them. They have to keep track of so much, right? So if I give you a Band-Aid, it's because I've seen your quote unquote injury, so that later you can't say, like, I gashed my foot and it was bleeding profusely and whatever.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
Mm-hmm. But it's a nice place for, like, to cool off. Like, I've seen people. The one time I went in, I was in there and it was really, really hot. Like, it was a scorcher of a day. And there were people in there trying to, like, they had overheated, like, possibly fainted in the parks, and they were in there. Yeah.
Yeah. And they have really awesome, like, ice and baggies for that purpose. And if you had something sore, like if your like ankle something was inflamed or you were having a bit of pain and you needed ice, and they have places like they're very, like, I guess if they were really full up with people, it might be a different story, but when I've been in there, like, they're like have a seat, like, you know, with the, you know, they have a place for you to lay and say, like, to see if your bee sting is going to, you know, get any worse or whatever. They're like, just take it easy, there's lots of, you know, no rush, just do what you have to do in here. So it's really neat.
Yeah, no, that's great. Okay, so let me select next to Casey's Corner. Next question. Oh, which of these is not an opening day attraction?
Oh, these ones always get me.
The Haunted Mansion, the Jungle Cruise, Pirates of the Caribbean, or Peter Pan's Flight? I believe it's the Haunted Mansion, but I could be wrong. Then I start to doubt myself. It wasn't an opening day attraction at Disneyland, right?
No, it wasn't. It could have been.
Because the Jungle Cruise is an exact replica.
Mm-hmm. The Jungle Cruise is like probably a good one.
Walt's, like, loved the Jungle Cruise.
And, oh yeah, it's definitely the Haunted Mansion. I'm going to say, but I don't, so it's just one of them? Because Pirates was, I think, well underway and done at Disneyland by the time Walt Disney World opened.
Right.
And so what are our options? Peter Pan,
Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean, Jungle Cruise.
Yeah, I'm going to say Haunted Mansion too. That would be my guess.
Yeah, we're both wrong.
Are we? What is it?
It's Pirates.
Is it? See, the thing with Pirates, though, The Haunted Mansion?
Yeah.
Like, it's really just figuring out the timing. I guess Pirates, I kind of assumed it wasn't Pirates because, yeah, like, I thought it was maybe all done at, like, that's what I was thinking, like, with Walt Disney World.
Like, it's just a cookie cutter or whatever, for the most part. I know they're different, you know, both Haunted Mansion and Pirates are different in Disneyland and Walt Disney World, but they're small differences generally based on the geography and the stuff in the parks, right? And what they needed to do in the parks to make them happen. So I'm a little surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just confused. Like, it's just very confusing to kind of keep them and to keep that information in line.
My brain doesn't retain enough information anymore, but,
and I don't really I think figuring out what's opened at Disney World is a little bit harder to keep in our noggins because I think Disney World opened up more was kind of more complete, wouldn't have been than Disneyland. Right? Disneyland had a lot of things that nobody even knows about that existed back then. That's long gone. Whereas I think Disney World was generally what it was mostly, right? Like, I don't know.
It was in pretty good shape. Well, it was still a bit of a disaster in that they weren't necessarily ready to open when they said they were going to open. And I think I told that story on the podcast about the green side up grass, but I think, for the most part, they had their attractions were ready.
Well, and maybe more, it's like opening day is not so much that, it wasn't, like, maybe it opened a month later or 2 months later, not like where we're thinking in our head, like,
years later.
What came years later, right? Where that's sort of the situation at Disneyland. There was lots of years in between some of the new stuff, whereas at Disney, it could have been like 2 weeks later, or maybe not. Like, maybe it was a whole years later. But I always remember that Space Mountain is 1975 because that's an important year. In the history of the world, I believe.
It's a very important year.
But beyond that, I don't remember any of the other dates. So I got nothing.
You got nothing.
Nothing. Nothing.
Okay, so Carrie, this one, it's a picture, but I think you're going to know what it is anyway, right?
You're going to describe it to me? I'll close my eyes.
Yeah, so let's have her eyes closed. Don't do that. Okay, the question is, where is the...
I'm intrigued.
Where is this giant hiding? So, I'm not even going to describe it yet. Think where there's a giant somewhere. So, I'm going to change the question a little now. Where there's a big giant somewhere in the Magic Kingdom.
There is?
Yes. And I'm going to tell you the four options for this, and then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So where where is this giant? I hope you do.
A giant?
Where is this giant hiding?
Like Fee Fi Fo Fum?
Listen to the options.
The Green Giant?
Big Top Souvenirs, The Emporium, Friar's Nook, or Sir Mickey's.
Oh.
Aha. See, now it's coming back to you.
And I still don't know where this giant is, but my guess is Sir Mickey's because it's about the beanstalk.
It is. Ding, 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 ding.
There's a giant in is Sir Mickey still around?
Yeah. So here's the things. This is something that is one of the things I love about Disney, Walt Disney World and Disneyland, that the details are everywhere. When you walk into Sir Mickey's, look up. There is a giant sitting on top of the wall, pulling the ceiling up, peeking inside. Yeah. Right? And if you don't look up, you miss it. But it's the giant is like from the beanstalk is looking under the roof and looking inside.
Cool.
It's pretty cool. And I think the other place where there's really cool stuff is the shop in Splash Mountain. Well, I guess that'll all change now, but they have like little things in Splash Mountain along the ceiling, but also at the hat store in Disneyland. And I can't remember what's above there. But
the
there
Mad
was like
Hatter.
in the Mad Hatter, there was like a whole...
They have like a little scene because it's inside of the house.
Yeah, like
they have the mirror scenes that you can see the Cheshire Cat. And I like they might do this at Walt Disney World, but honestly, I go to Disneyland so much I can't remember the between them. But at Disneyland, like when you walk through the Emporium and you look up, it's unbelievable. Like there's so many details at Disneyland when you look up. Like when in the store in one of the rooms you look up, there's a train. There's like all miniatures all over the place.
They don't
like,
do that at Walt Disney World.
Yeah, that's why sometimes I can't remember where's what.
Which
like,
one's which?
If it's the same, like which one's which, or if it's like exactly the same as one as the other. But yeah, at Disneyland definitely. And what we noticed when we were there the last time was that we were right there when Halloween turned over, and when you look up, they've put Halloween in some of those places too, right? Like they've added things, and it's really, really neat. So that's a good tip. Always look up, take a minute and enjoy the details.
For sure. Okay, the next one's pretty easy. Where can you meet Mickey? Pete's Silly Sideshow, Town Square Theater, the Crystal Palace, or Fantasyland?
Oh, Town Square.
Town Square Theater. Yay. I like meeting Mickey there. Remember when he used to talk there?
I don't know that I ever saw him when he was talking.
I did once. It was fantastic. It was phenomenal. It was so real. It was so real. I don't know why he doesn't anymore. Although, who are we kidding? Like, I was just amazed when he started blinking his eyes. Like, that was a big deal.
Where did we see Mickey before the Town Square Theater? Like that was that his first time he had a proper home at Magic Kingdom, or would we have saw him somewhere else? Do you remember?
I'm not sure. I don't know if you can hear my home phone ringing.
No. Anyways, he's got a home now. That's all that matters, I suppose. I thought maybe
he does. I'm trying to think of where he was.
Did you have to just kind of see him on the streets?
Like he was outside doing meet and greets.
Mm-hmm. Maybe that was it.
Maybe
because, or did he have something in Fantasyland, or I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't remember. It's election time.
That was me, and so I thought I had it on mute, and I didn't. So it is election time here, and I gotta tell you, Carrie, it's driving me crazy that all of these candidates call my house like 7 times each. It's driving me crazy. It's driving me crazy. And then they leave like these 10-minute messages on my machine. It's driving me nuts. So anyway, honestly, and they've been at the door and they hand out flyers and yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Now you can hear him,
done?
can't you?
Yeah.
No, he's still talking.
No.
He's still talking. Because I might have to try to cut it out, but ay. Honestly. Okay. So I'm gonna tell you this. He's given his phone number 3 times.
Are you going to call him?
I might, just to tell him how I feel about this message. Okay. Question 9. What attraction has the tallest height requirement? Space Mountain, 7 Dwarfs Mine Train, Big Thunder, or Splash Mountain? And this one, see, this is a hard one. So this is not that is the tallest, it's the tallest height requirement. So you need to be the tallest person to be on it. I'm trying to think. So 7 Dwarfs Mine Train, I think you can be pretty little.
Yeah.
Because who are we kidding? Once you're wedged in that seat, you ain't coming out.
You're not moving.
You're not moving. Although I guess if you're little, maybe you could slide around a little. Space Mountain is still, I think it's Space Mountain. Thunder Mountain, though, you slide around a lot. Like you're sliding all over that seat. And then Splash Mountain, it's a pretty big drop.
Little kids go on Splash Mountain, though. You see little ones.
Is there a bar on Splash Mountain now?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
So we're Space Mountain or Big Thunder. So
Big Thunder, you have the bar, but you slide a lot.
What about Space Mountain? What is that one?
Space Mountain is
still a bar type of thing, because in Disneyland it's got the Disneyland. Does it have the shoulder things for Disneyland?
No, Disneyland does not have the shoulder things. I think it just has the bar.
Because we sit 2 and 2 at Disneyland.
But you sit 2 and 2. One at Walt Disney World, but on Walt Disney World, it's the one where you're like down on the ground with your legs. Like it's almost as bad as Astro Orbiter. Like you get down on the ground, your legs are out, you're straddling like this little bench. But I think it's actually a seatbelt.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I haven't had to worry about a height restriction for quite a while.
Okay, let me see. I'll tell you what the hint is. Oh, the hint is that it's a mountain.
Okay.
So it's not it's not Space, it's not Seven Dwarfs. It's either Big Thunder or Splash.
Space Mountain. It's a mountain. Oh. Is it a real a mountain, or is it just a space mountain? We got 3 mountains.
I was thinking about a real mountain. Not a real mountain. They're not real mountains.
A replica of a mountain.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I don't know. Pick one and I'll click it to see.
I don't know. I have no idea.
I'm going to say Splash.
Okay.
I was wrong. It's
space, yeah. I think Splash.
Goodness.
Think about those pictures of people going down the plume, and like you see like little ones like hanging on for dear life. So
that's true. So it's Space Mountain. It's 44 inches. And you know what? Now that I think about it, it probably makes sense because you ride by yourself. Like at least in Splash, Thunder, whatever, you have a parent next to you.
Yeah,
but in Space, you are by yourself now.
Right.
When I was little, though, you weren't by yourself. The adult sat at the back, and then they straddled their legs on the bench, and it's not even really a bench, and then you sat in front of them, and then the seatbelt went around both of you.
That's how Splash is at Disneyland.
That you straddle because it's a single flume. Mm-hmm. Right. You don't
sort
sit
of the
side
same
by side.
thing. Yeah.
So same thing. Right. Gotcha. That was an interesting one. Makes sense now. Space Mountain is not a mountain. What is wrong with me?
It's named the Space Mountain.
Oh, yeah. But I was looking at the pictures of the actual mountains. Okay.
That's funny. Is this the last one, number 10? Or
I don't know. They don't tell you how many questions are in this.
We're getting on here.
I know. Let's make it the last one. Question. Okay. Question. Because seriously, here we are. Oh, we'll just whip through this cruise. Okay. What character does not appear in the Festival of the Fantasy Parade?
Oh, my goodness.
Wendy, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, and they put in brackets Aurora. Like, why don't they just call her Aurora? And Pinocchio. Festival of Fantasy.
What were they? What was the first one?
Wendy, Snow White, Aurora, or Pinocchio.
I'm going to say Pinocchio. Unless one of those princesses isn't in there. I don't know.
Aurora is not in there. Interesting.
That's my guess.
Huh. Okay, so it was the last 10 questions.
Yay!
And it says we got 7 out of 10 right. And you are a Magic Kingdom expert. You really know the park.
Wow.
That's interesting. They have quizzes for all the parks. It would be fun to do some of the other ones.
There we go.
Because, see, we share tips along the way, like the whole first aid stories and stuff. See?
Mm-hmm.
You and I could talk. I swear to goodness, we could talk about anything. And our jibber jabber, Carrie. We've been blabbing along for so long. It's time to think about what brought you joy.
Oh wait,
it's time to think about what brought you joy this week. What was your pixie dust?
Well, my pixie dust was from this morning because I went for breakfast with my friend Glenda because we are. We're planning to go on a trip in just a few weeks.
I've been jilted and replaced.
Less than a few weeks. There's very few sleeps left.
Yes.
And my dear friend has thought that she should accept a challenge of traveling with just a carry-on.
Oh my goodness, Glenda, what are you doing? Don't do it. You don't have to do it.
No, I'm not. There's no pressure for me.
Oh, whatever.
But this is a challenge she wants to accept. So today, because we haven't seen each other and we're traveling soon, we had to kind of get our ducks in a row. But I had to coach her on how to get ready, how to plan for a carry-on. So I had a diagram. I brought a notebook and I made a diagram and I showed her what she needs to do.
What did you diagram? Like, what did you do? Where to put the stuff in the bag?
Listen, if you're ready for the challenge one day, I'll show you a diagram.
I am not accepting the challenge. So, oh my goodness.
And I gave her some instructions on what she needs to do in order to make this happen if she wants to do that. But the problem is that the airline that we're traveling with, their carry-on restrictions are a little bit their rigid? Size is a little bit, I don't know if it's rigid or not, like how strict they're going to be.
With?
Transat. I booked Transat flights. So their carry-on is 19 inches high. And when you have the regular size carry-on with the wheels, they're 21 and a half. So they don't count for so it's almost like you can't have the regular size carry-on. You need to have the one that's just a smidge smaller. So that's a bit of a...
So what about Squeaky? Is Squeaky... No, Squeaky's what we call Carrie's carry-on.
Squeaky's 21 and and a half. And that
so
fits
you can't
Air Canada.
Even take Squeaky.
Well, if they check, I suppose they might.
But Carrie, what are you going to do if you show up with Squeaky and they go, sorry, can't
you check it. You pay to check your bag.
I guess you got to pay. That would be such a ripoff to pay to check that piddly thing.
So Glenda was very excited about taking on this challenge because, quite frankly, it's because she's worried about how things are right now, right, with lost bags and all the horror stories. That's why she decided to do this, because she was this is her first trip after all
COVID.
This stuff.
I could have loaned her my little tag.
So that's where it all came from. So that's our dilemma. So we had our planning meeting. I gave her the instructions, the diagrams, everything, so that she could start the first step on the I'm traveling with a carry-on journey. And then we looked it up and we compared it to the Air Canada ones, and it is smaller. And then we've both realized that our current carry-ons don't fit that. So anyways, we have a bit of time to figure it out. We might just be checking our bags just to keep it simple. And also because I like to sit at the front of the plane, so there's probably no overhead space by the time we get on the plane too. So anyway, I kept saying to her today, I'm like, let's just check bags, let's just check our bags. But
look at you.
She likes the challenge.
People, this is what it's like traveling with Carrie. There's a planning meeting with diagrams.
So
my goodness.
Maybe we'll find. I think Glenda does have a carry-on that is
the right size
that does fit, but she doesn't think she's afraid that she's going to need more space. So anyways, we might just check bags. I might bring Squeaky and then just check her at the airport. I don't need much more space.
But whatever's going to happen, if they don't check at the gate, when you check in, if they don't check there, by the time you get to the gate, if there's no room, they'll just check it anyway.
Yeah. Which to me is I really don't not check a bag because I don't want to pay for a checked bag. I just don't check bags. I just carry my carry-on.
Well, you don't like to wait at the other end either, right? For the bag to come out and stuff like that. Because trust me, when you're traveling with Carrie and you land and you got to wait for your bag because she didn't check one, you can see the foot tapping and the eye rolling because how long it's taking to get your bag.
But a lot of times I do travel by myself, right? So when I get off the plane, I'm through. I don't have to do any of that stuff. I just go. Running. I'm just get to my car and go home. So.
I will tell you though, with Delta, I didn't have to wait for my bag at all. It was there waiting for me. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if it's the airlines. Maybe Transat will be better.
I don't know. Maybe. Anyways, we'll see.
That's a good question for somebody that works at the airport.
I haven't flown with Transat in a number of years, and I actually booked another flight for the future with Transat because their prices are so are so low.
Yeah.
Like so low right now. Like if you're looking ahead.
Yeah.
They only have one flight a day. They only fly certain days of the week from our airport to Orlando, but like really bargain basement pricing. And it's a company that's been around forever. Like it's a long standing Canadian airline that's been around forever. Like they have a humongous, like all inclusive portfolio. They go to Europe. They like, it's not that
we fly to Scotland. That's the only airline.
They're not like the airlines. Some of the airlines in the U.S. where like it feels like you're sitting on like a park bench when you're flying. Like it is a legit full proper.
It's a full proper airplane,
full service airline. It's just we always usually do Air Canada or WestJet because it gives us a lot of options too. Yeah.
Like they both usually, like before COVID, they would have 4 or 5 flights a day each. To Orlando, so
it just gives us more flexibility. If things change or whatever, we can get on the next flight. We don't have to wait till Thursday,
right?
Anyways,
yeah.
So what's your pixie dust?
Okay, well, Glenda, have fun if you're listening. You want to have fun?
Have fun.
Have fun. I'm not going. What was my pixie dust? Oh, this week. This week I finally got my hair cut. I know it's funny. My hairdresser has been my hairdresser since I was 17 years old. I swear to God, he was a hairdresser in training when I met him. And so he's like a big part of my life. He's the longest relationship I've had with a man outside my family. Kid you not. So yeah, I managed it. Andrew and I went and got our hair cut this week. Got to see him. I haven't seen him in a while because he was actually sick the last time I needed my hair done. So I saw someone else at his salon. But yeah, so I got to see him. And yeah, it was nice catching up. And he had his 20th anniversary of his salon opening. But I was away and I didn't get to go. So he kept like little goodie bags for me and my sister and my nephew. Yeah. So we had little goodie bags to bring home with some products and t-shirt and all that kind of stuff. So it was really cool. Great. Yeah. He's, you know what? Honest to goodness, he's the best hair. Like his haircut, if I can't get to the hairdresser, like it just grows in nicely. Like, it just, I don't know. Anyway, I wouldn't go anywhere else.
He's good.
I do. I love him to bits. So, so it was nice to get to see him. And get our little goodie bags and
that's fun.
Yeah.
He didn't he didn't save any cake, was it?
Did you say
there was no celebration cake? You couldn't have threw a couple pizzas in the freezer?
I need some cake. But he will stay open late for us to come. And it's so funny because Andrew, my nephew, who, is 6 foot whatever now, when we go and he's got like a new hairstylist or whatever, and then he'll be like, do you know that when he first came, I had a booster seat for him when I cut his hair?
Just a little baby.
Yeah. Aww. Yeah, so that was it. That brought me joy this week. Cool.
That's awesome.
Okay, Carrie, see? The time goes.
Wrap her up.
Leave
a review. Follow us on Instagram. See you later.
Blah, blah, blah. We'll see you next week, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Pixie Dust Fan Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the episode.
Make sure you're following us on your favorite podcast player so you'll get a new episode every week. And find us on social media too. We'd love to hear from you.
Till next time, remember, you are never too old to be young. Chase your dreams and design your own happily ever after.